any good stuff here. The purpose of the mastermind is really to bring in people that are in similar places in terms of their experience level, production level, kind of things that are um, they find themselves dealing with on a daily basis, from the foundational pieces to the preparation to all the learning and the technology. Put those people in the room together and talk a little bit about how we can help each other, right? We celebrate the things we're doing well. We deal with any, drawbacks and struggles and stuff like we just did. And hopefully you leave the session with some additional ideas on how to move forward. And maybe you came in with this awesome idea that maybe you don't feel so great about anymore, or the other way around. Or, we want you to leave having some new information, some new skill. Um, I'll I'll just take a quick minute, and I think this is uh, um, Kathy. This is something that I want you to spend a moment on as well.
All right.
Is the following. So we'll talk a little bit about this today during our session. We're still on for 3:15, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So this is a document called the fourth quarter GPS. I emailed this to everybody earlier this week with a video on how to complete it, or just kind of explaining what it is. So this is a basically a regroup, if you will, or a reset, right? So it doesn't matter how many years you've been in the business or how many deals you've done. This is a document that's like, we're taking the pulse of this person's business. Do they have their presentations organized? Is their database where it needs to be? Do they have time in their schedule for script practice? Do they have any accountability in their life? Do they have written goals? Right? Do they understand the connection between how much money they want to make and what they do on a daily basis? And is there it's like a reality check, right? For example, if you want to sell 15 homes in the next 12 months and you currently are only talking to 3 people that want to do something, um,
Not gonna happen.
you're going to need some more people. You're going to need some more people. So what are we going to do about that? Right? Well,
Right.
you can choose to get into action and take accountability of remember the accountability cycle or the victim cycle, right? We
Right.
can either say, look, we got social turmoil. Did you guys hear Trump has coronavirus? That
Listen, I didn't. I'm prior Navy, so I'm like, where do you talk politics? But
is that
huh.
I couldn't get any weirder. Okay, so we
Hey,
got crazy social stuff going on. We
Justice, don't. I'm
we
sorry,
got a
my son done
festival
brought a
virus,
leaf in.
right? We got to wear a mask everywhere we go. Okay, well, here's the deal. You basically got two ways to react to that. You can say, okay, well, I'm going to sit in my home and whine and complain about the fact that things are a little different and there's a bunch of stuff going on. I'm not trying to minimize, please don't hear that I'm trying to minimize any of that stuff. But you can either, kind of get defeated by it, or you can go out and secure opportunities. Guys, we looked, there was 500 closings in real estate yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
How many of those were you in part of? Right? There's business happening. You guys know Julian took a listing last Friday. By Saturday, they had 97 showings and 14 offers, over half of which were over list price.
Are you serious?
Dude, it's crazy
Wow.
out there. It is insane. Okay. So are you telling me there ain't people buying and selling homes? Because if that's the way you think, you need to study the data more. It's just flat out not true. Okay. So you have an opportunity to um, take market share. I mentioned this earlier on the call this morning. I said one of our top agents in the entire company, he said at MegaCamp, were you on the call, Ebony, this morning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He
But
said,
I was on a
we
little
are
late.
all new. Again, we are all new. Okay. The way that you ran your business 6 months ago, it ain't the same anymore, and it's never going back. Okay. There is no back to normal. It will be back to something that might look a little different than what it looks like now. but we're probably gonna be wearing masks for a long time. Okay, buy yourself a pretty one. They ain't going away anytime soon. Okay, and I'm not being political. I'm just being realistic. Okay. By the way, you're probably not gonna hear much politics from me. That's ain't no reason for that. Doesn't make me happy in any way. It's one idiot or the other idiot, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Um, now, you got it. We are all new. Okay. So I don't care if you've done listing, if you've got 25 years of doing listing presentations the old way. Okay. We both have 2 or 3 months of doing it, experience doing it the right way. And if I'm better and I'm more assertive than you, I will take your business right while you're watching me. And if you don't like it, then get better.
That's true. That is true.
Right. It's as simple as that. I mean, I have had, I mean, honestly, I've kind of taken my eye off of being in the real estate sales arena for like 4 or 5 years, right? And I have witnessed my old clients working with other real estate agents. Now, whose fault is that? Mine,
It's your fault.
right? Mine.
Yep.
So I will get some and I will not get some. And I used to get so, oh my gosh, it used to ruin my freaking week. Now I'm like, "Ah, gosh, that guy was a pain in the ass to work with last time. Somebody else can work. Doesn't bother me for a second anymore because I just go get another one. I'm not worried about it, right? There's enough business for everybody. There's plenty of business.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I guess I say all that to say that I don't care if you're new or you're relaunching or you've never given digital presentations before. Yeah, neither has anyone else. Just start practicing. See what I'm saying?
I think that a small part of me, but a very real part of me, like I know that I got this and I'm going to be great at it. But you know, when fear, just to like I feel sometimes like I'm holding my breath because when I jump over or I jump in that water, once I'm in, I am completely all in. And it scares me sometimes. It's just like as much as I want it and I want to be the Carrie Veals, of the world and the Michelle Slater's, like I look it's certain people who I'm like, oh, them. I want to be them. I'm scared too. Like a little bit of me is scared, but I want it. I'm just, it's
Well,
like a tug of war.
would you like to examine that fear publicly for a second?
Okay.
Because I'm assuming that you're not alone, right? Actually, hang on just a second. Let's have some fun with this. Um, what I'm hearing you say is that you're afraid to be successful. And it's understandable that you would feel that way because you've not done it before. See
Well,
that?
you scripted me.
So,
I agree. I feel the same way.
right. And so here's the deal. Like,
It's nerve wracking.
but what if, this is a really funny way of saying it, but what if like your kid, when they were learning how to walk, and you know how they are, they stand up and their legs are all kind of angled the wrong way and like they're totally not walking right. And they try to stand up and they fall and they try to stand up and they like take a step or two and they fall and like they suck at it, right? What if your kid was like, mom, this walking thing, it's just not for me. I don't think I'm gonna walk, right?
What you
How
gonna do?
how ridiculous would that be, right? They don't look at that and they say, I'm scared to walk. They're like, look at what my legs can do, right?
Yeah. Right.
Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be scared. It's a reality, but oftentimes fear is present when the unknown is unknown, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Mhm.
here's the thing. To my knowledge, no one has ever died in the middle of prospecting.
No.
right? No one has ever like gotten a rejection and been like they just that was it for them, right? Like you will survive. Okay, you will survive. Now, are you afraid that somebody's going to ask you a question that you don't know the answer to? I get it.
No.
I
But
get
you
it.
know what's crazy? It's just like the part of it that should scare me is not the part that is scaring me because I know, like, I know who I am, and I know that whatever task you put on my plate, and I am one of those. If it is back pushed against the wall, whatever, I'm coming out swinging, and I have always won. It's just jumping over that little threshold. But once I jump over, I'm fine. Like I was great in property
Yeah, I know.
management.
Well,
I did
but
really
there was
well.
a
I can do
moment
that.
where they're like, Ebony, you're in charge of watching over this file. And then you finish filling out the piece of paper and you're like, shit, I wonder if I did it right. Right. And then you realize that you did it right. And then like your boss was happy and the resident was happy and your supervisor was happy. Like, and it just worked out. Right. So when the time comes, you're going to create the paperwork and you're going to have somebody peek at it. And then you're going to have more confidence. Right. So it's like, I'll be honest, when I wrote the offer to buy the house that I bought last summer, I hadn't written an offer in a couple of years. I sent it to Pam. I'm like, will you look at this and make sure I'm doing this right? Right. Um, it's we sometimes that's why we need peers. That's why we need a support system, right? Is so that we can bounce some of these ideas off of one another. You know, do you think that like um and like what's the worst that could happen? You embarrass yourself in front of somebody and you say, hey, I don't know what happened. Let me go get the answer for you or something. I mean, you just got to err on the side of activity,
You
right?
do it.
Mhm.
It's kind of like I've given this explanation before. Like, let's say Kathy, you're my buyer and I'm showing you some condos in Buckhead, okay? And we're driving around Buckhead. We're going to from one building to another building to another building. You look up at the sky and you say, "Hey, what's that one?" Right? And let's say
Mhm.
it's the Buckhead Grand, and I'm like, I'm not actually sure what building that is. And then you're like, well, I guess there's a lot of buildings. Maybe he doesn't know every one of them. All right, great. So we move on through the day. And then a few hours later, you look up and you're like, hey, what's that building? And I'm like, well, I
Mhm.
don't really know the answer to that one either.
And
Like,
look, like when you gonna find out?
right. Well, I
I
say,
mean,
well, when are you? Perhaps I should be with a realtor who does know the
who
names of these buildings,
or
right?
just the idea of, maybe the delivery of how I'm getting it from you, there is no effort. That doesn't take anything, any effort to really
Well,
and
I'm,
truly,
I'm saying like when you're right there with them and they ask you
right,
a question, you flat out just don't know the answer. Like you might say, like Gary Keller says, a professional is somebody who knows what they know what they don't know, and they're not
right,
afraid to ask for help.
exactly. Yeah.
And
I
so,
don't know. I will find out for you. That's a great answer.
exactly. However, you also have to be a bit prepared, right?
Right.
If I'm going to go into an area that I'm unfamiliar with, then I should probably like, kind of see where, the mall is and how do I get there from the
Yeah. Yeah.
highway and like,
That makes sense.
let's familiarize ourselves with some of the, let me go to Buckhead the day before I'm supposed to meet with you and go look at some of these properties myself. Oh, there's a fancy building. It's pretty
Hmm.
tall. People might be curious about it. What the hell is that? Right?
Right. Gotcha. It's yeah, doing it's
Right?
my part. Yeah.
You're becoming an expert at the things that move the needle the most, right? Our
Right.
job, quite simply, I mean, to super simplify this, as we've said a few times, is um, what do we do to get the appointment, and then what do we do on the appointment? If you can figure out
What
those,
scares me.
if you can
I
do those
can.
two, you're good. So now
Okay.
to what?
What?
So you're scared of the appointment? Is that what you're saying?
Okay. So yes. Yeah. Okay. And I'll tell you why. My it was with the last office before I came home to this office. So anyway, I had a listing for a home over here by me, no mortgage, over 800,000. My
Hmm.
first listing just hit it out. I mean, just hit it out the park. And I dropped the ball because my so-called team wasn't there to help me, even when it came to going on the listing appointment. What am I supposed to do with that? I felt complete. I mean, so that, there's a whole lot that, but
Yeah.
that scared the mess out of me. And that's right here in my backyard. That was in Litchfield Estates.
Right.
And I'm, I couldn't believe what had happened to me.
Well,
I just could not believe that that had happened. And then, okay. And then on the other flip side of it is the, this so-called gift for gab. I can talk to anybody, get to that point. Now, what if I do get the listing? What am
mhm.
I, what now? Okay. What do I do when, besides having stars in my eyes, like, oh, you for real? You really want to list with me? Like, what now? Like, huh? Like, start to sweat. Like, I don't,
um,
because
yeah,
I was left, the ball was dropped. I felt that I was literally I was that realtor who was left in the cracks, and
yeah.
it scared me, and I put my license on hold.
So I get that completely. I could go into a slew of different, resources that where you could learn some of that material, right? Watching videos on listing presentations, studying scripts, previewing property, um, learning objection handlers, reviewing checklists for buyers. Like these are the 150 steps that you would need to be aware of when you're working with a buyer. Same thing with the seller, right?
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of material out there. Ignite is a great place to start for that.
But
Um,
in that moment, I didn't have time to read over 800, pages of anything, review anything.
so
So
while
when,
I'll give you a perfect example, and even I screwed this up today.
yeah,
Okay. Um, I will admit this because I'm a leader and I'm willing to admit when I'm an idiot. Okay. Pam runs my team and I don't mess with DocuSign. Okay. I don't know anything about it.
yeah,
I've been very good at avoiding it for a few years, and last night I couldn't avoid it any longer. Right. I have a buddy of mine who's buying a house right around the corner from me. He asked me to show it to him and write it up. I agreed to do that. And the last like 12 hours, I've been in DocuSign hell. Okay. I think we
mhm,
finally figured it out. Now I'm pretty much a whiz at it. And it sucked because I had to learn it when the stress was high and the pressure was high and there was a deadline. So
mhm.
do you have a buyer's appointment the rest of the day today, Kathy?
Do I? I wish no.
Okay, so plan it. Pretend like you do.
Okay,
Okay. And
and
go to the resources and say, okay, there's a buyer presentation on Connect, or there's many on Connect, but there's also one on Command with some collateral material. Um,
okay,
and don't wait until you have a buyer presentation to go figure out how to give one. That's why we have this. My buyer presentation will be done by X date, and then I will
okay,
begin to practice it. So
okay.
because now you're like, well, I don't want to prospect too hard for a buyer presentation because I don't know how to do one. I don't want to prospect too much for listings because once they say yes, I'm screwed, right?
Mhm.
Well, then you're basically paralyzed.
Yeah,
So you got to get into the habit of preparing for these things, right? The
yeah,
person who is the most successful in this business is the most resourceful person. Okay. I'm not suggesting that either of you are not resourceful, but even my 4-year-old knows how to ask Google stuff.
hmm,
Okay. If you don't know where something is, ask.
right.
Okay. Um, I will, I used to make this comment when I was doing a lot of recruiting, and I said something to the effect of if you're willing to allow yourself to slip through the cracks, then it doesn't really make a difference which real estate brokerage you join because you
Yeah,
will slip through the cracks and you
yeah,
will not be all that successful.
right.
If you walk in the door and you say, I'm not slipping through any crack here,
Yeah,
right? Because I am going to get the resources I need. They're telling me this is a training company, a technology company. We care about diversity and equity and training and culture and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I see people making lots of money. I see people smiling all day. I'm not falling through the cracks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I told you
I
earlier,
can
Abby,
admit I
I'm not
allowed
going
that.
away. You will teach me how to sell homes because I'm not going away.
Yeah.
I agree with that. You have to be in people's ear, be on the calls, be in their face, be active, want it, want it, want it, do, even when you don't. Like, so I completely get it. But it's just like I'm building such a great team within Keller Williams. And now outside of it, like I referred someone, another agent, she does real estate in Baltimore and here. She doesn't know a lot about contracts. Hey, I invited her to a class. Why don't you listen to this contract class? Like you're with a brokerage in Atlanta, get with a different one because obviously you're not where it is that you need to be. Then I saw one of our agents had a listing in, or they had a buyer in the Baltimore area. That's where she's from. So I connected them together. I'm like, let me do this. Like, so I'm always trying to
Yeah,
connect the dots everywhere I go because those dots are going to lead back to me. Like,
100%. That is exactly what you should be doing. Exactly. All right, guys, I got to hop into the next call. Thank you so much for your energy and attention today. Keep up the good work. And don't forget, you can log on to our YouTube channel and watch a ton of videos on basically everything you got a question about. We've got at least one YouTube video on.
Yeah.
can I ask you one question before you leave? Vulcan 7, I have the password saved to my computer. Can you put in the chat real quick what it is so
Yeah,
that Kathy can have it?
consultant exclamation.
Uh,
Okay.
okay.
All right. See y'all soon.
All
Okay.
right.